It is rather late to talk about Cyberpunk Edgerunners, but I just have to make a video about this surprisingly good anime. I picked up this anime a couple months after its release on Netflix, and going in, I had some knowledge of the other Cyberpunk franchise, and you know how that went. But I decided, why not and give it a watch? Maybe it'll be as funny as the whole game release situation. But oh boy, was I in for a ride. Throughout those 10 episodes, I cried, I got excited, I hype with the cast of the show, and after finishing it, I felt empty. Well, in a good way. So I bought the game and spent over 150 hours of gameplay to quench my thirst for the world of Cyberpunk. Now, what actually made me make this video is a question my friend asked me a couple days after I finished the series. He asked, "What made you like Cyberpunk Edgerunners?" And I sat there quietly, not being able to answer the question. Sure, I knew the characters were good, and the music was amazing, but that wasn't really enough to give a reason why I loved the show, so I just stood there quietly. And after reaching home, it kept bothering me. I see Edgerunners on my TV, I see Edgerunners on my dog, I see it everywhere. And even when my girlfriend called me, I accidentally called her Edgerunners. So, I grabbed my snacks and rewatched it again. And this is why you like Edgerunners.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We have some work to do now. Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? Scooby-Dooby-Doo, where are you? We have some work to do now.
It was perfect, but no, you just had to blow it up.
Edgerunners is based on the Cyberpunk 2077 video game by CD Projekt Red. The series acts as a prequel to the game's story. Note, you don't have to play the game to enjoy the anime, which is definitely a plus. As you may or may not know, previous of the anime's release, people were definitely not expecting this prequel to be good, due to the disappointment left by the official game release back on the 10th of December 2020. And the reason for the disappointment was, well, because
Did you see what happened? Something feels off here.
You don't say.
yeah. Though, as of recording, for better or worse, the game is very much playable, but there is still minor glitches here and there. Overall, it doesn't really take away from the gameplay at all, so it's good. The anime series was announced during a Night City Wire live stream for the game on June 25th, 2020, as a collaboration between CD Projekt Red and Studio Trigger. With its announcement, we find out that it is directed by Imaishi Hiroyuki and Wakabayashi Hiromi, which both are also very heavily involved in the makings of Darling the Franxx, Kill la Kill, and Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann, which is also followed by Studio Trigger in charge of its animation. If you're not familiar with the following studio, then these three animes were all animated by Trigger. With this roster in charge of the production of the series, it's sure to be a good anime, right? Well, I am glad to say that good is very much an understatement. Going in the first episode, you're introduced with not only the main character David Martinez, but also the world of Cyberpunk, aka Night City. We have people touching themselves in broad daylight, frequent criminal activities, and the distinct effect capitalism has on its structures and people. Oh, also cybernetic upgrades known as chromes, which are very much normal for people to get in this world. Soon later in the series, David Martinez got his hands on a military-grade chrome which lets the user achieve superhuman speed, known as the Santa Vista. With the events happening around David, such as the death of his mother, the constant bullying, and overall being in the worst place you could possibly live in, he decides to upgrade his body by implementing the Santa Vista on himself. And what does he do with it? Well, apart from the revenge that he did to his bully, David never had the privilege to experience financial stability. And with the absence of his mother, money has become one of David's main issues. So, with his newfound ability, he became a thief. Though it is not really by choice, since technically he was kinda blackmailed into doing it, but hey, if he can get some of the shares, then why not, right? With this newfound occupation, we're introduced to Lucy, a very unique character to say the least. After their newfound collaboration, David seemed to experience a symptom that is caused by the overuse of Santa Vista. What follows after this symptom is him losing consciousness. Before we continue, there is a term called cyberpsycho in the world of Cyberpunk. This term is the consequence of overchroming your body, or in other words, too much cyber implementations. This is very important to the main story, so keep this in mind because we'll come back to this later. Upon waking up, not sure where he is, this happened. What comes after this crazy situation is a journey he never thought he would find himself in. After that whole crazy fiesta, Lucy invited David to come to her humbly abode. Now here, we are not only introduced more about Lucy as a character, but also a song. If you watch the anime, then you probably know what song I'm referring to, but if you don't, it's I Want to Stay at Your House by Rosa Walton. Look it up. After I discovered the song, every scene that is accompanied by the soundtrack, I just cannot help but to feel some type of way. You could say this song is made for these characters and the world of Edgerunners as a whole. Personally for me, the most memorable scene that came out from this anime are moments combined with the song. From the date to the moon, to the tragic goodbye. Watching these two characters haunted by their past fall in love is just chef's kiss. But of course, we can't only give credit to the song, but also the well-written characters as well. Yes, I do believe the pacing for these characters to develop isn't really the best, but for what it's worth, especially with 10 episodes, it's written well enough for us viewers to sympathize with the main cast and the supporting casts. Watching these people become a family and go through their own traumas by either running from it or facing it are what made them feel so alive. The decisions made by its characters carry weight due to the consequence it has on their life. Example would be Maine, a character that is introduced a little later after the moon date David and Lucy had. David grew up not having a father figure, which Maine unexpectedly became one later on in David's life. Teaching David the ropes of living in Night City, we can see this because Maine always tries to insert himself in David's life by giving him advice and caring about our main character, David.
Going with Lucy. Treating her right.
Sadly, as you can see from Maine's implementations, he soon experienced what we call cyberpsycho. This not only affects David character-wise, but also the decisions he makes further in the series.
You holding up all right?
Main.
Watching tragic characters surviving and having fun while dealing with their personal struggles behind the scenes.
You're good,
Becoming a
David.
family and finding comfort and warmth.
I'm Rebecca. I hear you're joining up with Maine's crew.
Maybe. This carbonated?
Cheers! Be seeing you around then.
Only to subject on the cruelty of Night City. Rare moments of love to only be separated by the city they live in. If it's not obvious, I love this anime so much that I spent 160 hours on the game just to fill out that emptiness after finishing the series. Watching this show is a journey on itself, and I'm glad I picked it up. A term I would describe the cast of Cyberpunk would probably be broken people surviving in a broken world. This term for me holds true, and especially combined with the journey of David and the family he made surviving in an unfair and cruel world. A group of broken people finding a place in a broken city.
Right here, it's me, it's Lucy, please! David, come